All right, we're back here again with another podcast, Teen Podcast with Pastor. This is our fourth episode of this podcast with Pastor for our teenagers. And today's topic is on your hair. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verses 14 and 15, I believe gives us good guidance as far as what a Christian's hairstyle ought to be. Now, this goes for teenagers or adults, young or old, all alike. And we ought to be concerned about whether or not the way we keep our hair is pleasing to the Lord. The Bible says in 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 14, it says, "Doth not even nature itself teach you, that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him? But if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given her for a covering." When it comes to our hair, the Bible tells us as men that it is a shame for man to have long hair. A man ought not to look like a woman. A man ought not to have this long flowing hair or even hair that goes down past the point of what is considered long. Now you may be listening to this and saying, "Pastor, what in the world is considered to be long hair?" If we look back at the verse, we notice in 1 Corinthians 11:14, it says, "Doth not even nature itself teach you?" God has designed your body and your head specifically with certain places where the hair grows. If you have short hair and you put your hand on the back of your neck, you'll notice that there is a point between your neck and your hairline where God has shown us that our hair should not grow as men past that point, behind our ears. So I believe the long hair, if nature itself teaches us that's the way God designed our bodies, was that our hair would only grow in a certain spot, if you will, that what is long is what exceeds those points. For example, if as a man, if I have my hair coming down over my ears, then I believe that the Bible would consider that God considers that to be long hair. If my hair comes down past the collar of my shirt in the back, or kind of even is fluffed over the collar, as I've seen some people do before, that is considered long hair. I believe like a mullet style is considered to be in the back like that, long hair. So the Bible says that it's a shame for a man to have long hair. Now this doesn't mean that you have to have a buzz cut in order to please the Lord. And it doesn't mean that you can't have good style in order to please the Lord. People are concerned about their hairstyle and because of the style of it. And years ago, and I think I've shared this not on a podcast, but I've shared this, I'm sure, in messages and things before with teenagers. But years ago, I saw a poster on somebody's window. We were out soul one, and I saw a poster on somebody's window that it showed a picture of a fella that had just himself all decked out, and he looked, quote unquote, what the world would call looked cool. He had glasses on, he had long hair, and it said on the bottom of his picture, it said, "Boys have swag." Then if you looked right under that picture, there was another picture. And that picture was a man that was kind of looked like he was in a business suit. He had a tie, he had his hair cut, he had his hair combed. And under that picture it said, "But men have class." It is more important that I'm not speaking about biblically here, but I'm saying this, for a young man, I think it's more important that you keep yourself neat and tidy and trim and have class than that you have swag and be cool in the eyes of your peers. So as we talk about hair specifically, I believe it's important that, number one, a young man have short hair. Hair that doesn't come down past his collar, hair that doesn't come down over his ears. By the way, hair that doesn't come down in your face. I never have understood why anybody would want hair that came down over their face and makes them look like a sheepdog. But having that hair that's neat and cut short. And then also, I'm going to tell you this, gentlemen, I think it's a good thing to comb your hair. And you ought to take and put a comb on it, lay it down. It ought to lay down. And you don't want to make it look like a cow's just been licking your head and left it all standing up. You want to have it laid down, so get a comb, you get some hair gel if you need to, some hairspray. Get that hair slicked down, looking good, And I believe that that is a good testimony to the Lord as a Christian. Now, moving on to the young ladies, it says in verse number 15, "But if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given her for a covering." I do believe that it is a good thing, as the Bible says, for a woman to have long hair. I'm getting them mixed up here. For a woman to have long hair, the Bible says it is a glory unto her, and that it is her covering that God has given to her. The Bible says farther up that a woman's not supposed to pray with her head uncovered. And a lot of people take that and say, well, that means that you got to put some kind of a head covering on, or a woman should always wear a hat before the Lord. And I don't believe that that's necessary, because the Bible teaches here in verse 15 that her hair was given for a covering. I don't think it's wrong to wear a hat, but I don't think it's necessary and unscriptural not to wear a hat, as some do. However, ladies, we need to understand that it is important for a young lady, I believe, to have long hair. That means that her hair ought to grow past the points that a man's hair should not grow to. So, I think it's okay for a lady to have her hair down past her ears. Obviously, I think it's okay for a woman to have her hair down past her collar. I believe it's okay for her to have hair that is long and flowing like a man should not have. And so we find here that it says that it's given as a covering, it's given for her glory. This does not mean that she cannot get a haircut. It does mean that she should not shorn her hair, or that means to buzz it off. There's this new look, and I don't understand why a lady would want to have this look. This trending seems to be in society, of shaving off part of one side, or shaving off one side and leaving the other side long. And I'm going to tell you, that just looks unnatural. It does not look pretty, ladies, to do that. And I believe in doing that, I believe you're partially cutting away some of the covering that God intended for you to have. You're cutting away some of the glory that God intended for you to have. So what does the Bible say about your hair? To sum up what we've talked about in this episode, we know that a man is supposed to have short hair. I also believe he should have his hair kept. That's just part of being neat and tidy. But scripturally speaking, he ought to have short hair. A lady ought to have long hair. Ought not to shave her head. Ought not to cut her hair but short like a guy would have, but to have long hair. By the way, if I'm going to tell the gentlemen that they ought to have their hair neatly combed, then ladies, I also ought to mention that you ought to brush your hair. Brush your hair once in a while and make it look nice, and do whatever ladies do to make their hair look nice. I know with my daughters, my wife is constantly putting bows in their hair and hair clips and hair ties. And with all of my daughters, it is like one of the cardinal sins in my wife's book to take out your hair bow, and she will get all over those girls for taking out their hair bow. No, 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 you leave that in your hair, she tells them. And I should hope as teenagers at this point that you're able to leave your hair clips in your hair, or whatever you wear in your hair, hopefully. But, just keep it looking nice. You want to look nice. You want to be a good testimony. You want to look sharp. You want to be a good testimony for the Lord. So that's what we have today about your hair. Next week, we'll be back with episode number 5. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen. Just this short broadcast on Teen Podcast with Pastor. Thank you for watching today. God bless, and have a great night.